Example, this man governed ship. Possibly it was just this phrase that roused the northerner in the purser. He rose, and looked toward the captain's table. But the captain was not dining in the saloon that evening. Then he strode to the center of the saloon, beneath the renowned dome which has been so often photographed for the illustrated papers, and sought to destroy Isabel Joy with a single marine glance. Having failed, he called out loudly, "Be quiet, madam. Resume your seat." Isabel Joy stopped for a second, gave him a glance far more homicidal than his own, and resumed her discourse. "Steward," cried the purser, "take that woman out of the saloon." The whole complement of first-class passengers was now standing up, and many of them saw a plate descend from on high, and graze the purser's shoulder. With the celerity of a sprinter, the man of authority from Durham disappeared from the ground floor and was immediately seen in the gallery. Accounts differed, afterward, as to the exact order of events, but it is certain that the leader of the band lost his fiddle, which was broken by the lusty Isabel on the purser's head. It was known later that Isabel, though not exactly in irons, was under arrest in her stateroom. She really ought to have thought of that for herself, if she's as smart as she thinks she is, said Edward Henry privately. Though he was on the way to high success, his anxieties and solicitudes seemed to increase every hour. Immediately after Isabel Joy's arrest he became more than ever a crony of the Marconi operator, and began to dispatch vivid and urgent telegrams to London, without counting the cost. On the next day he began to receive replies. It was the most interesting voyage that the Marconi operator had had since the sinking of the Catherine of Siena, in which episode his promptness through the air had certainly saved 200 lives. Edward Henry could scarcely sleep, so intense was his longing for Sunday night, his desire to be safe in London with Isabel Joy. Nay, he could not properly eat. And then the doubt entered his mind whether, after all, he would get to London on Sunday night. For the Lithuania was lagging. She might have been doing it on purpose to ruin him. Every day, in the auction pool on the ship's run, it was the holder of the low field that pocketed the money of his fellow men. The Lithuania actually descended below 540 knots in the 24 hours. And no authoritative explanation of this behavior was ever given. Upon leaving New York there had been talk of reaching Fishguard on Saturday evening. But now the prophesied moment of arrival had been put forward to noon on Sunday. Edward Henry's sole consolation was that each day on the eastward trip consisted of only 23 hours. Further, he was by no means free from apprehension about the personal liberty of Isabel Joy. Isabel had exceeded the program arranged between them. It had been no part of his scheme that she should cast plates, nor even break violins on the shining crown of an august purser. The purser was angry, and he had the captain, a milder man, behind him. When Isabel Joy threatened a hunger strike if she was not immediately released, the purser signified that she might proceed with her hunger strike. he well knew that it would be impossible for her to expire of inanition before the arrival at Fishguard. The case was serious, because Isabel Joy had created a precedent. Policemen and cabinet ministers had for many months been regarded as the lawful prey of militants, but Isabel Joy was the first of the militants to damage property and heads which belonged to persons of neither of these classes. And the authorities of the ship were assuredly inclined to hand Isabel Joy over to the police at Fishguard. What saved the situation for Edward Henry was the factor which saved most situations, namely, public opinion. When the saloon clearly realized that Isabel Joy had done what she had done with the pure and innocent aim of winning a wager, all that was Anglo-Saxon in the saloon ranged itself on the side of true sport, and the matter was lifted above mere politics. A subscription was inaugurated to buy a new fiddle, and to pay for shattered crockery. And the amount collected would have purchased, after settling for the crockery, a couple of dozen new fiddles. The unneeded balance was given to seamen's orphanages. The purser was approached. The captain was implored. Influence was brought to bear. In short, the wheels that are within wheels went duly round. And Miss Isabel Joy, after apologies and promises, was unconditionally released. But she had been arrested. And then, early on Sunday morning, the ship met a storm that had a sad influence on divine service. A storm of the eminence that scares even the brass-buttoned occupants of liners' bridges. The rumor went round the ship that the captain would not call at Fishguard in such weather. Edward Henry was ready to yield up his spirit in this fearful crisis, which endured 2 hours. The captain did call at Fishguard, in pouring rain, and men came aboard selling Sunday newspapers that were full of Isabel's arrest on the steamer, and of the nearing triumph of her arrival in London before midnight. And newspaper correspondents also came aboard, and all the way on the tender, and in the sheds, and in the train, Edward Henry and Isabel Joy were subjected to the journalistic experiments of hardy interviewers. The train arrived at Paddington at 9 p.m. Isabel had won by 3 hours. The station was a surging throng of open-mouthed people. Edward Henry would not lose sight of his priceless charge, but he sent Maria to dispatch a telegram to Nellie, whose wifely interest in his movements he had till then either forgotten or ignored. And even now his mind was not free. He saw in front of him still 24 hours of anguish. 7 the next night, just before the curtain went up, he stood on the stage of the Regent Theatre, and it is a fact that he was trembling not with fear but with simple excitement. Through what a day he had passed! There had been the rehearsal in the morning, it had gone off very well, save that Rose Euclid had behaved impossibly, and that the Cunningham girl, the hit of the piece but ousted from her part, had filled the place with just lamentations and recriminations. And then had followed the appalling scene with Rose Euclid. Rose, leaving the theatre for lunch, had beheld the workman removing her name from the electric sign and substituting that of Isabel Joy. She was a woman and an artist, and it would have been the same had she been a man and an artist. She would not submit to this inconceivable affront. She had resigned her role. She had ripped her contract to bits and flung the bits to the breeze. Upon the whole, Edward Henry had been glad. He had sent for Miss Cunningham, who was Rose's understudy, had given her instructions, called another rehearsal for the afternoon, and effected a saving of nearly half Isabel Joy's fantastic salary. Then he entered into financial negotiations with 4 evening papers and managed to buy, at a price, their contents bills for the day. So that all the West End was filled with men and boys wearing like aprons posters which bore the words, "Isabel Joy to appear at the Regent tonight." A great and original stroke. And now he gazed through the peephole of the curtain upon a crammed and half-delirious auditorium. The assistant stage manager ordered him off. The curtain went up on the drama in hexameters. He waited in the wings, and spoke soothingly to Isabel Joy, who, looking juvenile in the airy costume of the messenger, stood flutteringly agog for her cue. He heard the thunderous crashing roar that met her entrance. He did not hear her line. He walked forth to the glazed balcony at the front of the house, where in the enter-acts dandies smoked cigarettes baptized with girlish names. He could see Piccadilly Circus, and he saw Piccadilly Circus thronged with a multitude of loafers, who were happy in the mere spectacle of Isabel Joy's name glowing on an electric sign. He went back at last to the managerial room. Maria was there, hero-worshipping. "Got the figures yet?" he asked. Maria beamed. £260. As long as it keeps up, it means a profit of getting on for 200 in it. But, dash it, man, the house only holds 230. "But my good sir," said Maria, "they're paying 10 shillings apiece to stand up in the dress circle." Edward Henry dropped into a chair at the desk. A telegram was lying there, addressed to himself. "What's this?" he demanded. "Just cam." He opened it, and read, "I absolutely forbid this monstrous outrage on a work of art. Trent." "Bit late in the day, isn't he?" said Edward Henry, showing the telegram to Maria. "Besides," Maria observed, "he'll come round when he knows what his royalties are." "Well," said Edward Henry, "I'm going to bed." And he gave a devastating yawn. One afternoon Edward Henry sat in the king of all the easy chairs in the drawing-room of his house in Trafalgar Road, Bursley. Although the month was September, and the weather warm even for September, a swan's down quilt lay spread upon his knees. His face was pale, his hands were paler, but his eye was clear and his visage enlightened. His beard had grown to nearly its original dimensions. On a chair by his side were a number of letters to which he had just dictated answers. At a neighboring table a young clerk was using a typewriter. Stretched at full length on the sofa was Robert Machin, engaged in the perusal of the second edition of that day's Signal. Of late Robert, having exhausted nearly all available books, had been cultivating during his holidays an interest in journalism, and he would give great accounts, in the nursery, of events happening in each day's installment of the Signal's sensational serial. His heels kicked idly one against the other. A powerful voice resounded in the lobby, and Dr. Sterling entered the room with Nellie. "Well, Doc?" Edward Henry greeted him. "So you're in full blast again," observed the doctor, using a metaphor invented by the population of a district where the roar of furnaces wakens the night. "No," Edward Henry protested, as an invalid always will. "I'm only just keeping an eye on one or two pressing things." "Of course he's in full blast," said Nellie with calm conviction. "What's this I hear about ye ganging away to the seaside, Saturday?" asked the doctor. "Well, can't I?" said Edward Henry. "Ye can," said the doctor. "Let's have a look at ye, man. What was it you said I've had?" Edward Henry questioned. "Colonitis." "Yes, that's the word. I thought I couldn't have got it wrong." "Well, you should have seen my mother's face when I told her what you called it. She said, 'He may call it that if he's a mind to, but we had another name for it in my time.' You should have heard her sniff. Look here, Doc, do you know you've had me down now for pretty near 3 months?" "Nay," said Sterling. "It's your own obstinacy that's had ye down, man. If ye'd listened to your London doctor at first, mayhap ye wouldn't have had to travel from Euston in an invalid's carriage. If ye hadn't had the misfortune to be born an obstinate simpleton, ye'd ha been up and about 6 weeks back. But there's no doing anything with you geniuses. It's all nerves with you and your like." "Nerves!" exclaimed Edward Henry, pretending to scorn. But he was delighted at the diagnosis. "Nerves," repeated the doctor firmly. "Ye go gadding off to America. Ye get yeself mixed up in theatres. How's the theatre? I see your famous play's coming to end next week." "And what if it is?" said Edward Henry, jealous for reputations, including his own. "It will have run for 101 nights. And right through August, too. No modern poetry play ever did run as long in London, and no other ever will. I've given the intellectual theatre the biggest ad it ever had. And I've made money on it. I should have made more if I'd ended the run a fortnight ago, but I was determined to pass the 100th night. And I shall do." "And what are ye forgiving next?" "I'm not forgiving anything next, Doc. I've let the Regent for 5 years at £7,500 a year to a musical comedy syndicate, since you're so curious. And when I've paid the ground rent and taxes and repairs and something toward a sinking fund, and 6% on my capital, I shall have not far off £2,000 a year clear annual profit. You may say what you like, but that's what I call business." It was a remarkable fact that, while giving undemanded information to Dr. Sterling, Edward Henry was in reality defending himself against the accusations of his wife, accusations which, by the way, she had never uttered, but which he thought he read sometimes in her face. He might of course have told his wife these agreeable details directly, and in private. But he was a husband, and, like many husbands, apt to be indirect. Nellie said not a word. Then you're giving up London. The doctor rose to depart. I am, said Edward Henry, almost blushing. Why? Well, the genius answered. Those theatrical things are altogether too exciting and risky. And they're such queer people, great Scott. I've come out on the right side, as it happens, but well, I'm not as young as I was. I've done with London. The 5 towns are good enough for me. Nellie, unable to restrain a note of triumph, indiscreetly remarked with just the air of superior sagacity that in a wife drives husbands to fury and to foolishness, I should think so, indeed. Edward Henry leaped from his chair, and the swan's down quilt swathed his slippered feet. Nell, he exploded, clenching his hand. If you say that once more in that tone once more, mind, I'll go and take a flat in London tomorrow. The doctor crackled with laughter. Nellie smiled. Even Robert, who had completely ignored the doctor's entrance, glanced round with creased brows. Sit down, dearest, Nellie quietly enjoined the invalid. But he would not sit down, and, to show his independence, he helped his wife to escort Sterling into the lobby. Robert, now alone with the ignored young clerk tapping at the table, turned toward him, and in his deliberate, judicial, disdainful, childish voice said to him, "Isn't father a funny man?" The End. The novels of Arnold Bennett. The Old Wives' Tale, a novel of life. A new edition with special preface by Arnold Bennett. Price $1.50 net. The greatest of Arnold Bennett's writings has now crossed the Rubicon of merely transient popularity and bids fair to become a classic. It recounts from early girlhood to old age the lives of 2 sisters, the exact opposites to one another in temperament. Though its spacious canvas teems with incidents and characters, all the interest concentrates on these 2 women, the world revolves about them. It is a story of reality, a record extraordinarily faithful of the infinite number of infinitesimal changes which steal away youth with increasing years. The book is of heroic proportions. Here all the emotions of a lifetime are met together on one stage. It is real as life, and large as destiny. Buried Alive, a tale of these days. Price $1.20 net. Also in popular edition, 50 cents net. A romantic comedy, a surprise from start to finish, brilliant in its plot, and audaciously carried out. It is the kind of book that restores adventure to life and sends the reader on his way in high spirits. A Great Man, a comedy of success. Price $1.20 net. Here is a comparative study of the great and the merely successful, a gentle satire on contemporary popular methods of judging human worth. At the start, the great man knows quite well that he is not great. Later, confused by the clamor of applause, he deceives himself. The story develops the rise of a modern writer, the get-famous quick author who suddenly finds himself a bestseller. Helen with the High Hand, an idyllic diversion. Price $1.20 net. In the lightest comedy vein, Arnold Bennett treats of a serious economic situation, the invasion of the grim 5 towns by modernity. Helen typifies the splendid revolt of youth against the accepted and conventional. Of all Arnold Bennett's heroines, Helen is certainly the daintiest and most fascinating. The final touch of comedy arises from the fact that Helen at length overcomes her uncle, not by anything modern in her temperament, but by the old-fangled race shrewdness which she has inherited. She defeats him by the more skillful handling of his own weapons. Leonora, the story of a middle-aged love affair. Price $1.20 net. The Soul Problems of a Woman of 40, another novel of the Five Towns. This is one of the most human of all Arnold Bennett's novels. It grapples with a real problem and works out the solution as in life. There are no heroics, no false elations and no false tragedies. Leonora is a statement of truth, seasoned with humor. The Matador of the Five Towns and Other Stories. Price $1.20 net. Written in Arnold Bennett's most brilliant manner, each story is a complete and perfect study of some family group or separate phase of Five Towns life. Never was he more witty, more penetrating, more sure in his shrewd delineation of homespun domestic characters. Anna of the Five Towns, a young girl's love story. Price $1.20 net. This is a love story with a twist in it, such as Bennett knows so well how to handle. The twist consists in the coming to Anna of unexpected wealth. She is the daughter of a miser and has been brought up under the most rigorous parsimony. She has a simple lover, in every way suited to her narrow circumstances. Then she comes of age and discovers that she is not only well off, but wealthy. What will she do with her money? Will her altered status interfere with her love affair? Will her father's blood tell? In a vein of quiet humor, rich in whimsical character sketching, Arnold Bennett works these problems out. Anna is another of the inhabitants of the Five Towns. The little group of friends who gather about her make us familiar with another level of Five Towns society. The Book of Carlotta, the autobiography of a woman's heart. Price $1.20 net. The Book of Carlotta presents the woman of genius who belongs neither to the middle class nor to any other class, but simply to her genius, and to the passions of her own heart. The book is a woman's soul confession written in the first person. In sheer audacity of purpose it outstrips all Arnold Bennett's other novels with the exception of The Old Wives' Tale. In the first place, it is an intimate record of a woman's secret psychology. In the second, the woman is a woman of genius, which necessitates a continual flow of brilliancy on the author's part. In the third, it is a novel written in the French manner by an Englishman. Carlotta is an extraordinary creation, a woman apart. She stands among the rebels of fiction and biography, the people who have dared to be what they are. The motive of her whole life is self-fulfillment as she knows it, even though this means the defiance of laws. Everything contributes to the last great climax entitled Victory. Arnold Bennett, Pocket Philosophy's How to Live on 24 Hours a Day, a study in time expenditure. On the conservation of time. Price 50 cents net. In a series of delightfully personal essays, Arnold Bennett discusses the problem of how to attain happiness through living the intenser life. When he deliberately assumes the role of philosopher and friend, his wise and tolerant teachings come to us vivid with his strenuous personality. In the essay medium, his strange faculty for combining wisdom with humor works unfettered. Mental efficiency, on the conservation of the mind. Price 75 cents net. Everybody desires to be efficient. But nearly everybody mistakenly supposes that this is a natural characteristic. That it is not, Mr. Bennett shows in his mental efficiency. It is the product of concentration, which in turn is the product of willpower. But willpower can be developed by concentration, and Mr. Bennett shows us how to do it. The Human Machine, on the conservation of energy. Price 75 cents net. With fine inspiring optimism, amid flashes of wit and gusts of laughter, Arnold Bennett declares to everyone how he may make the best of himself. Literary taste, how to form it. On the conservation of pleasure. Price 75 cents net. It is Arnold Bennett's conviction that life ought to be for everybody an affair of joy. For him, literature has proved the royal road to happiness. He is eager to point the way. George H. Doran Company, publishers by Arnold Bennett novels: The Old Wives' Tale, Helen with the High Hand, The Matador of the Five Towns, The Book of Carlotta, Buried Alive, A Great Man, Leonora Whom God Hath Joined, A Man from the North, Anna of the Five Towns, The Glimpse, Pocket Philosophers, How to Live on 24 Hours a Day, The Human Machine. Literary taste, mental efficiency, plays, Cupid and common sense, What the Public Wants, polite farces, milestones, The Honeymoon, miscellaneous, The Truth About an Author. The Feast of Saint Friend, George H. Doran Company, New York. End of this project. Gutenberg ebook The Old Adam. End of the project. Gutenberg ebook The Old Adam, A Story of Adventure. Updated editions will replace the previous one. The old editions will be renamed. Creating the works from print editions not protected by U.S. copyright law means that no one owns a United States copyright in these works, so the Foundation, and you, can copy and distribute it in the United States without permission and without paying copyright royalties. Special rules, set forth in the general terms of use part of this license, apply to copying and distributing Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic works to protect the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol concept and trademark. Project Gutenberg is a registered trademark, and may not be used if you charge for an ebook, except by following the terms of the trademark license, including paying royalties for use of the Project Gutenberg trademark. If you do not charge anything for copies of this ebook, complying with the trademark license is very easy. You may use this ebook for nearly any purpose, such as creation of derivative works, reports, performances and research. Project Gutenberg ebooks may be modified and printed and given away. You may do practically anything in the United States with ebooks not protected by U.S. copyright law. Redistribution is subject to the trademark license, especially commercial redistribution. Start. Full license. The full Project Gutenberg license. Please read this before you distribute or use this work to protect the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol mission of promoting the free distribution of electronic works. By using or distributing this work, or any other work associated in any way with the phrase Project Gutenberg, you agree to comply with all the terms of the full Project Gutenberg trademark symbol license available with this file or online at www.gutenberg.org/license. Section 1. General Terms of Use and Redistributing Project Gutenberg Trademark Symbol Electronic Works 1.0. By reading or using any part of this Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic work, you indicate that you have read, understand, agree to and accept all the terms of this license and intellectual property, trademark/copyright, agreement. If you do not agree to abide by all the terms of this agreement, you must cease using and return or destroy all copies of Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic works in your possession. If you paid a fee for obtaining a copy of or access to a Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic work and you do not agree to be bound by the terms of this agreement, you may obtain a refund from the person or entity to whom you paid the fee as set forth in paragraph 1.e.8. 1.b Project Gutenberg is a registered trademark. It may only be used on or associated in any way with an electronic work by people who agree to be bound by the terms of this agreement. There are a few things that you can do with most Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic works even without complying with the full terms of this agreement. See paragraph 1.c below. There are a lot of things you can do with Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic works if you follow the terms of this agreement and help preserve free future access to Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic works. See paragraph 1.e below. 1.c. The Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the Foundation or PGLAF, owns a compilation copyright in the collection of Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic works. Nearly all the individual works in the collection are in the public domain in the United States. If an individual work is unprotected by copyright law in the United States and you are located in the United States, we do not claim a right to prevent you from copying, distributing, performing, displaying or creating derivative works based on the work as long as all references to Project Gutenberg are removed. Of course, we hope that you will support the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol mission of promoting free access to electronic works by freely sharing Project Gutenberg trademark symbol works in compliance with the terms of this agreement for keeping the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol name associated with the work. You can easily comply with the terms of this agreement by keeping this work in the same format with its attached full Project Gutenberg trademark symbol license when you share it without charge with others. 1.d. The copyright laws of the place where you are located also govern what you can do with this work. Copyright laws in most countries are in a constant state of change. If you are outside the United States, check the laws of your country in addition to the terms of this agreement before downloading, copying, displaying, performing, distributing or creating derivative works based on this work or any other Project Gutenberg trademark symbol work. The Foundation makes no representations concerning the copyright status of any work in any country other than the United States. 1.e Unless you have removed all references to Project Gutenberg, 1.e.1. The following sentence, with active links to, or other immediate access to, the full Project Gutenberg trademark symbol license must appear prominently whenever any copy of a Project Gutenberg trademark symbol work, any work on which the phrase Project Gutenberg appears, or with which the phrase Project Gutenberg is associated, is accessed, displayed, performed, viewed, copied or distributed. This ebook is for the use of anyone anywhere in the United States and most other parts of the world at no cost and with almost no restrictions whatsoever. You may copy it, give it away or reuse it under the terms of the Project Gutenberg license included with this ebook or online at www.gutenberg.org. If you are not located in the United States, you will have to check the laws of the country where you are located before using this ebook. 1.e.2. If an individual Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic work is derived from texts not protected by U.S. copyright law, does not contain a notice indicating that it is posted with permission of the copyright holder, the work can be copied and distributed to anyone in the United States without paying any fees or charges. If you are redistributing or providing access to a work with the phrase Project Gutenberg associated with or appearing on the work, you must comply either with the requirements of paragraphs 1.e.1 through 1.e.7 or obtain permission for the use of the work and the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol trademark as set forth in paragraphs 1.e.8 or 1.e.9. 1.e.3. If an individual Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic work is posted with the permission of the copyright holder, your use and distribution must comply with both paragraphs 1.e.1 through 1.e.7 and any additional terms imposed by the copyright holder. Additional terms will be linked to the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol license for all works posted with the permission of the copyright holder found at the beginning of this work. 1.e.4. Do not unlink or detach or remove the full Project Gutenberg trademark symbol license terms from this work, or any files containing a part of this work or any other work associated with Project Gutenberg trademark symbol. 1.e.5. Do not copy, display, perform, distribute or redistribute this electronic work, or any part of this electronic work, without prominently displaying the sentence set forth in paragraph 1.e.1 with active links or immediate access to the full terms of the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol license. 1.e.6. You may convert to and distribute this work in any binary, compressed, marked up, non-proprietary or proprietary form, including any word processing or hypertext form. However, If you provide access to or distribute copies of a Project Gutenberg trademark symbol work in a format other than plain vanilla ASCII or other format used in the official version posted on the official Project Gutenberg trademark symbol website, www.gutenberg.org, you must, at no additional cost, fee or expense to the user, provide a copy, a means of exporting a copy, or a means of obtaining a copy upon request, of the work in its original plain vanilla ASCII or other form. Any alternate format must include the full Project Gutenberg trademark symbol license as specified in paragraph 1.e.1. 1.e.7. Do not charge a fee for access to, viewing, displaying, performing, copying or distributing any Project Gutenberg trademark symbol works unless you comply with paragraph 1.e.8 or 1.e.9. 1.e.8. You may charge a reasonable fee for copies of or providing access to or distributing Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic works provided that you pay a royalty fee of 20% of the gross profits you derive from the use of Project Gutenberg trademark symbol works calculated using the method you already use to calculate your applicable taxes. The fee is owed to the owner of the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol trademark, but he has agreed to donate royalties under this paragraph to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. Royalty payments must be paid within 60 days following each date on which you prepare, or are legally required to prepare, your periodic tax returns. Royalty payments should be clearly marked as such and sent to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation at the address specified in Section 4, Information about donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. You provide a full refund of any money paid by a user who notifies you in writing, or by email, within 30 days of receipt that he does not agree to the terms of the full Project Gutenberg trademark symbol license. You must require such a user to return or destroy all copies of the works possessed in a physical medium and discontinue all use of and all access to other copies of Project Gutenberg trademark symbol works. You provide, in accordance with paragraph 1.f.3, a full refund of any money paid for a work or a replacement copy, if a defect in the electronic work is discovered and reported to you within 90 days of receipt of the work. You comply with all other terms of this agreement for free distribution of Project Gutenberg trademark symbol works. 1.e.9. If you wish to charge a fee or distribute a Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic work or group of works on different terms than are set forth in this agreement, you must obtain permission in writing from the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the manager of the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol trademark. Contact the Foundation as set forth in Section 3 below. 1.f1.f.1. Project Gutenberg volunteers and employees expend considerable effort to identify, do copyright research on, transcribe and proofread works not protected by U.S. copyright law in creating the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol collection. Despite these efforts, Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic works, and the medium on which they may be stored, may contain defects such as, but not limited to, incomplete, inaccurate or corrupt data, transcription errors, a copyright or other intellectual property infringement, a defective or damaged disk or other medium, a computer virus, or computer codes that damage or cannot be read by your equipment. 1.f.2 Limited warranty. Disclaimer of damages, except for the right of replacement or refund described in paragraph 1.f.3. The Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the owner of the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol trademark, and any other party distributing a Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic work under this agreement, disclaim all liability to you for damages, costs and expenses, including legal fees. You agree that you have no remedies for negligence, strict liability, breach of warranty or breach of contract except those provided in paragraph 1.f.3. You agree that the Foundation, the trademark owner, and any distributor under this agreement will not be liable to you for actual, direct, indirect, consequential, punitive or incidental damages even if you give notice of the possibility of such damage. 1.f.3 Limited right of replacement or refund. If you discover a defect in this electronic work within 90 days of receiving it, you can receive a refund of the money, if any, you paid for it by sending a written explanation to the person you received the work from. If you received the work on a physical medium, you must return the medium with your written explanation. The person or entity that provided you with the defective work may elect to provide a replacement copy in lieu of a refund. If you received the work electronically, the person or entity providing it to you may choose to give you a second opportunity to receive the work electronically in lieu of a refund. If the second copy is also defective, you may demand a refund in writing without further opportunities to fix the problem. 1.f.4 Except for the limited right of replacement or refund set forth in paragraph 1.f.3, this work is provided to you as is, with no other warranties of any kind, express or implied, including but not limited to warranties of merchantability or fitness for any purpose. 1.f.5 Some states do not allow disclaimers of certain implied warranties or the exclusion or limitation of certain types of damages. If any disclaimer or limitation set forth in this agreement violates the law of the state applicable to this agreement, the agreement shall be interpreted to make the maximum disclaimer or limitation permitted by the applicable state law. The invalidity or unenforceability of any provision of this agreement shall not void the remaining provisions. 1.f.6 Indemnity. You agree to indemnify and hold the Foundation, the trademark owner, any agent or employee of the Foundation, anyone providing copies of Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic works in accordance with this agreement, and any volunteers associated with the production, promotion and distribution of Project Gutenberg trademark symbol electronic works, harmless from all liability, costs and expenses, including legal fees, that arise directly or indirectly from any of the following which you do or cause to occur. A. Distribution of this or any Project Gutenberg trademark symbol work. B. Alteration, modification, or additions or deletions to any Project Gutenberg trademark symbol work, and C. Any defect you cause. Section 2. Information about the mission of Project Gutenberg trademark symbol. Project Gutenberg trademark symbol is synonymous with the free distribution of electronic works in formats readable by the widest variety of computers, including obsolete, old, middle-aged and new computers. It exists because of the efforts of hundreds of volunteers and donations from people in all walks of life. Volunteers and financial support to provide volunteers with the assistance they need are critical to reaching Project Gutenberg trademark symbol's goals and ensuring that the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol collection will remain freely available for generations to come. In 2001, the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation was created to provide a secure and permanent future for Project Gutenberg trademark symbol and future generations. To learn more about the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation and how your efforts and donations can help, see sections 3 and 4 and the Foundation information page at www.gutenberg.org. Section 3. Information about the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. The Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation is a non-profit 501(c)(3) educational corporation organized under the laws of the state of Mississippi and granted tax-exempt status by the Internal Revenue Service. The Foundation's IN or Federal Tax Identification Number is 64-6221541. Contributions to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation are tax-deductible to the full extent permitted by U.S. federal laws and your state's laws. The Foundation's business office is located at 809 North 1500 West, Salt Lake City, UT 84116, 801-596-1887. Email contact links and up-to-date contact information can be found at the Foundation's website and official page at www.gutenberg.org/contact section 4. Information about donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. Project Gutenberg trademark symbol depends upon and cannot survive without widespread public support and donations to carry out its mission of increasing the number of public domain and licensed works that can be freely distributed in machine-readable form accessible by the widest array of equipment, including outdated equipment. Many small donations, $1 to $5,000, are particularly important to maintaining tax-exempt status with the IRS. The Foundation is committed to complying with the laws regulating charities and charitable donations in all 50 states of the United States. Compliance requirements are not uniform and it takes a considerable effort, much paperwork and many fees to meet and keep up with these requirements. We do not solicit donations in locations where we have not received written confirmation of compliance. To send donations or determine the status of compliance for any particular state, visit www.gutenberg.org/donate. While we cannot and do not solicit contributions from states where we have not met the solicitation requirements, we know of no prohibition against accepting unsolicited donations from donors in such states who approach us with offers to donate. International donations are gratefully accepted, but we cannot make any statements concerning tax treatment of donations received from outside the United States. U.S. laws alone swamp our small staff. Please check the Project Gutenberg web pages for current donation methods and addresses. Donations are accepted in a number of other ways, including checks, online payments and credit card donations. To donate, please visit www.gutenberg.org/donate. Section 5. General information about Project Gutenberg Trademark Symbol Electronic Works. Professor Michael S. Hart was the originator of the Project Gutenberg trademark symbol concept of a library of electronic works that could be freely shared with anyone. For 40 years, he produced and distributed Project Gutenberg trademark symbol ebooks with only a loose network of volunteer support. Project Gutenberg trademark symbol ebooks are often created from several printed editions, all of which are confirmed as not protected by copyright in the US unless a copyright notice is included. Thus, we do not necessarily keep ebooks in compliance with any particular paper edition. Most people start at our website, which has the main PG search facility, www.gutenberg.org. This website includes information about Project Gutenberg trademark symbol, including how to make donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, how to help produce our new ebooks, and how to subscribe to our email newsletter to hear about new ebooks.